Before we start, if you guys enjoy spooky stories about rules, horror, or time travel for the time being, be sure to drop a subscribe if you enjoy this content. Let's get into the story. Before we start, I would just like to let you guys know that this is the finale of our story. We accidentally built a time machine. If you guys have not listened to parts 1, 2, and 3, be sure to go and check them out. Let's get started. The trunk of this car is far too small for someone as tall as me. Knees bent at painfully odd angles and arms tied behind my back and a blindfold covering my eyes. I felt every single one of the bumps in the road as the Sextile clones drove as roughly as humanly possible. Seriously, how fucking small was this car? It felt like a Maruti 800, and they don't even make those anymore. Honestly, I don't know what to think of Khalid 2's story. I could absolutely understand Sextile snapping after not getting any credit for the time machine, turning into a divorced and bitter man. But then again, if what I've been told is true, he shouldn't really be surprised that he ended up this way. Why should I share the stage when it was I alone who supposedly built the upgraded version of the machine? This was so like him. I remember back in high school when he tried to rat me out for copying off him in an exam when I ended up scoring higher than him. Yes, cheating helped, but I still did better than him. Fucking jealous prick was now trying to kill me because I was a better scientist. The one thing that had me most confused was why Khalid 2 was helping me. Why was Khalid 2 trying to help me? Why was my survival essential for a man who was from a parallel reality? Hadn't he been killing other parallel versions of ourselves when he was jumping from timeline to timeline in the first machine? Wasn't that the secret behind his strength? I saw that it wasn't just Sextile who was getting stronger after using the machine. I saw Khalid 2 leave a huge dent on the concrete floor after punching it. And what's more, he wasn't losing control of his mental faculties either. He was sharp as I have ever been. So, what could be the reason? Wait a minute. Maybe he wasn't someone from a parallel reality. Maybe he was the future version of this me. I know it sounds confusing, but bear with me. Imagine there are multiple versions of myself who all decide to use the time machine to send messages back into their respective pasts and change timelines. With each successful message, they create new timelines, growing stronger. So, while they are now in parallel realities compared to where they had started, but now they are still the original themselves. They hadn't physically traveled to the alternate timelines. They had simply replaced the Khalids that existed in those timelines, killing them and taking over their bodies. If Sextiles truly want to kill the time-hopping Khalids, they could go back to when those Khalids first started time-hopping and kill them before they got stronger. And that is why Khalid 2 wanted to protect me, because if I die, he dies too. Then again, this opens up a whole new can of worms. If he travels back in time, doesn't he mess with the timelines that I travel through, potentially changing the fact that he was here in the first place? Also, why hadn't the Sextiles already killed me yet? For what unfathomable reason was I being kept alive? Fuck, I really can't think all of this when I'm bouncing around in the back of a car fit for Tyrion Lannister. Where are we going anyways? The road was too rough to still be in the city area. Well, I was about to get my answer. The car had slowed down and stopped. I heard footsteps crunching, what sounded like gravel, and in a few moments I heard the trunk being opened up. Someone took off my blindfold and I saw 3 Sextiles looking down at me balefully. "Get him out," one of them spoke, and soon I was literally lifted out of the car. Fuckers won't even let me walk. They had brought me out to some warehouse of some kind. We were definitely out of the city area. Maybe somewhere in the NCR? It was definitely an appropriate place for shady shit like this. Guards, who I assumed were more Sakiths, were positioned strategically around the building, armed to the teeth. I'm sure there were others that I wasn't even seeing. How are they getting so many guns? What happened to the Indian gun laws in the future? A solitary chair sat in the middle of the empty warehouse, and I instantly knew who was going to be tied down to it in the very near future. Finally, one of the Sakiths looked at me with glee in his eyes as I was tied to the aforementioned chair. We can end this now, you motherfucker. Look, man, I don't know why you feel like you must do this, but you really don't have to. I tried to reason with him. We can share credit for building the time machine. Fuck, I haven't even built it yet. And you certainly seem to know how to build it. You traveled here after all. Just take the... What the fuck is he talking about? I tried to crane my head to look at the Sakith from behind me, who had presumably asked this question. He seems to think we're doing it for the machine. The Sakith who was talking to me said. Of course, another one joined the conversation. As self-centered as he is, it isn't surprising that he believes that. I felt a hard slap against the side of my face, leaving my ears ringing. Listen, asshole, the Sakith who slapped me said. We're not doing this for the money, or the fame, or whatever stupid shit your psychotic brain can come up with. Sure, I was the one who was psychotic, Sakith. No, he continued. We're doing this because someone needs to stop you. You've killed so many people, you fucking cockroach. Yeah, don't look so shocked, asshole. Another stab. You killed Neha so many times, in so many realities. I've never seen anyone as monstrous like you. It's truly spectacular. I'm sure there are worlds where even Joseph Fritzl is a decent father, but there is no world where Khalid Alam hasn't killed people, destroyed lives to get ahead. You rigged your own time machine to destroy the minds of anyone other than you, if they tried to use it. He truly was insane. Never in my life have I hurt anyone. And this dude thinks I'm a fucking murderer? Ridiculous. I'm sure you are mistaken, Sakith, I addressed the one attacking me before turning towards the others. I've never killed anyone. You just killed one of us yesterday with a wooden roller, a Sakith to my left said. My eyes widened. That's right, my attacker spat. We can keep track of events across timelines now. It was in self-defense, I protested. He was shooting at me with a shotgun. Ah, this is pointless. We should just kill him and get it over with, attacker Sakith said. Whoa, let's not be hasty, I pleaded. We can't. Not yet, the Sakith to the left of me said. We talked about this. We don't know what effect it'll have on that guy. We need to get him first, and then we kill this guy here. We can't risk it. Who knows if he'll get stronger if we kill this one now? It took a long time to pin that one down. No, we wait. And like I said, he's clearly trying to protect him, attacker Sakith said. Why would he try to protect him if he could just get stronger by killing him? It could be a bluff. Maybe he needs a certain set of conditions. It could be 1,000 different things. We're not having this conversation. I started this. I decide how we finish it, the Sakith to my left said. So he was the boss of this operation. If I could get him on my side, maybe I could work my way out of the situation. Or at least wait until Khalid 2 and my world Sakith show up. Yes, my real best friend was still out there. I looked at the boss Sakith to come up with some argument before he cut me off. Don't even think about it. Nothing you say will get me on your side. Try to speak, and I'll have them cut your tongue out. I wisely kept my mouth shut. Some painfully long and awkward minutes passed as the Sakiths prepared for the inevitable showdown with my future self, as some of the others sat staring at me. Fuck. They were prepared. I certainly hoped that Khalid 2 was strong enough to take them out. I tried to pass the time by trying to count how many of them there were. I had reached 9 Sakiths when I heard the first gunshot. I smiled. Here we go. The Sakiths in the warehouse leapt into action with the machine-like efficiency. 2 of them took up positions around me as the battle raged on outside. The glass windows high up on the walls exploded, and the body of a Sakith came crashing in and slammed down on the ground 20 feet or so in front of me. Fuck. Status update. A Sakith close to me screamed into his earpiece. He got no reply. A loud bang tore through the sound of the gunshots, and the very earth started to tremble. Something big must have exploded. A chill ran down my spine as I marveled at how magnificent and badass my future self was. More bangs, and I felt something wet on the side of my face. Oh, what the fuck? I looked around and saw that the Sakiths guarding me had been taken care of. There were holes on their foreheads that were massive and gaping. I was literally bathed in their blood. I heard footsteps and I looked up and saw Khalid 2 walking in with a rifle on his shoulders. "Are you okay?" he asked as he looked around for any surviving Sakiths. "I will be as soon as you untie me," I replied. He nodded and came towards me. "So, you lied to me," I said. "About what?" he grinned. "They say you're a murderer," I answered. He shrugged. "Look around you." No, not this." I rubbed my now free hands. "They say you killed Neha, and many more." "Power comes at a cost, buddy. I'm sure that deep down, you understand that," he said. I was about to reply when I saw some Sakiths come running in from the back door and quickly hid behind him. More gunshots, and I fell down on the floor, covering my ears. As the sound died down, I looked up and saw them struggling on the floor. "Now, we got him!" One of them shouted, and more Sakiths poured in like ants from seemingly nowhere. Where the fuck were they hiding? Khalid 2 let out a rage-filled shout and started to take on the dozens of demon Sakiths with his bare hands. What followed was the most viscerally violent sight I'd ever seen. Khalid 2 and his attackers began to tear each other apart with their hands and teeth. Chunks of flesh flew, and the floor turned into some nightmarish Jackson Pollock art of blood and gore. I felt hands on my shoulders and I jumped. I turned around and saw Sakith covered in blood, himself and carrying a shotgun. His eyes were wide in fear, and I instantly knew that this was my Sakith. "Are you okay?" I shouted, trying to make myself heard over the growls and the biting and the slashing. "Yeah, not mine," he screamed, pointing at his blood-stained clothes. We tried to leave, but the fighting had shifted towards the door now. Khalid 2 was shredding them to pieces, whittling them down the ranks of angry Sakiths, but he was starting to take damage too. Sometimes they would be fighting on the floor, and then suddenly shift towards the roof or one of the walls. Blood sprayed everywhere. It was total madness. We crouched down near the walls and watched as the fighting gradually slowed down until only Khalid 2 and 2 Sakiths remained. Khalid 2 ripped out the jaw of one of the attacking Sakiths as the other bit out a chunk of his throat. Khalid 2 fell down on his knees. The last remaining Sakith tried to finish him off, but he stabbed him in the stomach at the very last second with his hand. It's hard to see how these creatures were fighting. "It's over," Khalid 2 breathed. "I win. My wounds will heal." He began to cough and spat out blood. We got up and walked towards him. I picked up a pistol from the floor, aimed it at Khalid 2, and emptied the magazine into his head. Sakith screamed. "No," I said. "Now you're done." 8:30 p.m. "Wow, so he was the one at fault, huh?" Sakith asked, more as if he was contemplating the situation than actually expecting an answer. "Yep," I answered anyway. "Power-hungry bastard killed hundreds of innocent people. He murdered Neha too. Apparently there are other Khalids too who were doing the same. I imagine their original Khalids are dealing with this same situation. No wonder I went fucking crazy. I would do anything to protect Neha," Sakith said softly. "Speaking of her, how is she? Have you spoken to her? Does she at least know where you are?" I asked. "No," he answered. "I'll call her right after we're done with this." He looked at the machine in front of him. Hard to imagine it gave us this much trouble. All the science fiction was right, man. Time travel is really not to be fucked with. I laughed. Damn, but he was right. "At least, they don't have it as bad as we did," I said. "Time paradoxes are easier to deal with than this insanity that we went through. Fucking psychotic future selves and vengeful demonic alternate selves. Haha, yeah. Thank God they judged you wrong, though. They were wrong to think that you would want to be just like Khalid. Just like that Khalid. I took out the gun from the back of my jeans and shot him in the head. You're right, Sakith. I don't want to be like Khalid too. I would never leave loose ends behind. I'm going to gain power all alone without anyone trying to bring me down. Everyone who knows about this machine in this reality is dead. Soon the fire department is going to find out that there was a terrible fire caused by an electric short circuit in my university that led to the tragic death of one Sakith Anasheti. I looked at the blueprints of the machine in my hand. There are no obstacles in front of me now, only a path to godhood. Let's get started.